Do you always have to be working towards the next big thing? This week on Carlie's Couch, we discuss the necessary process after you achieve something and how to be present in the moment.
Hola, hola, hola. Welcome to Carlie's Couch. As you can tell from the intro, very important topic. Most likely, I would say, for people who listen to Carlie's Couch, who tend to care about self-improvement, and we're always worried about the next big thing and what can we do and yada, yada, yada. And everybody just needs to chill. So, Carlie, how are you feeling? Are you chilling?
Yeah, I would say I feel pretty relaxed and peaceful. How are you?
That's good. Bend your head down. Oh, okay. That's a cute little.
Oh, thanks.
It's giving a little 90s. You got a little twist and you need some butterfly clips.
Exactly. And then, look, Bobby Pins could be out of here.
Twist.
It could all be so simple.
Glad to hear you're doing pretty good. I am feeling good. Just getting this work. Trying to get into Q4 with some steam and momentum. Yeah, and definitely feeling better too because I've been sick for a little minute, but I'm kind of back for now. So before we get into our episode, let's talk about this week's question, which was, if you could be any inanimate object for a day, only a day, that's not crazy, what would you be? There's so many things.
I was about to say, there's so many, yeah. And you know, I don't know, so many people answer. So first of all, thank you for participating with our weekly questions from the couch. We appreciate you. But I'm actually kind of surprised by some of these. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Because they seem like, for what?
Yeah.
Like what?
A grandfather clock.
That's majestic. I mean, yeah, what are you doing though? 24 hours?
You're sitting
You're
there
literally time.
You're literally time. You're literally sitting in somebody, and grandfather in my head, unless you're in a museum, but even then, might be dusty.
Beauty and the Beast. They were thinking Beauty and the Beast. They thought they was going to turn up.
Okay, well,
Except in Beauty and the Beast, it was animate object.
Yeah.
So,
and also, some people actually reply with animate objects too, so I didn't put those on here.
Let's do our research, fellas. Let's Google words if you're not sure what they mean. But what's something that you thought was cool though?
Two that were kind of interesting. One is someone that was very specific, an Italian water fountain.
That's pretty.
And then my follow-up question was, okay, like Amalfi Coast or like city center? Like, which one are you thinking?
Did they say Rome?
They haven't
or
replied.
Just Italian.
They said Italian specifically.
Okay. Yeah, that could be cool though. They're really dirty though if it was like the ones in Rome with all the coins in it. But maybe like the flow of water, the fact that people come to see you, that could be cool. One that I thought I did not really like was a mango. But I guess because I was thinking about getting eaten. Oh.
That's why did you see my house? A mango was actually on my list, so.
Sure. I don't want to be anything that's getting digested. But maybe it's like a day in the life of a mango hanging on a tree, which also I would not want to be that.
A hummingbird feeder was kind of cool too, like being outside.
That's kind of cool.
Like,
yeah, that sounds cool. I liked the boulder on the beach, getting hit by ocean waves all day. I think that could be relaxing. That's cool. That's like if you like being at the beach all day, then you might as well be a rock.
And then we got a couple of palm trees by the beach, swaying in the wind. Another one I thought was really interesting was a satellite, so that they can see the Earth like above and enjoy the rest of the universe, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, a couple different people said that. And then some people said a plane. Maybe it's they want to see the world, to see things
Fly
as well. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be the plane. Imagine how like stinky and full of like bacteria and stuff it is. But whatever. Somebody wanted to be my pillow, but little do you know, you about to have hella grease and all kind of mess.
It's a dirty job, but somebody got to do it.
Yeah, that's actually probably not the best spot to be next to me, but whatever.
And then
drool.
A stock exchange server. I thought that was also intriguing.
You know what? And I know who did that, but I can't think of who it was. But I remember knowing them and being like, what kind of nerdy stuff is this? But I don't know. I'm surprised nobody said like money or like a stripper's thong or something like that. But kudos to you guys. Didn't wild out too bad. So these were kind of interesting, and we had a pretty random variation of stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Also got a guitar. I assumed there would be more musical instruments, but
yeah, I just wasn't sure what people would say because I couldn't really think of what I would say like that. So I don't know. Even still, like thinking of an inanimate object I'd want to be for a day is like, I don't know. That seems just so random.
I mean, yeah, but it's a great, I think, creativity exercise. It's like, well, what would you want to experience?
I think it could tell you about a person when they answer it. So like even with some of these, like, you know, who wants to be seen or who wants to be beautiful. who maybe wants to be utilized. Like, they're, maybe they'll say something to you. Might have a new branch of psychology up in here.
There we go.
Yeah, get Alexian psychology on you.
Whoever wants to be a Roomba,
right.
That's interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank y'all. I'm always interested. I wasn't quite sure either, but if I had a top 10 list, a mango and a palm tree on the beach would be on there. So we're soul sisters on that. But jumping into this week's episode topic, I've been trying to be more intentional with catching up with my friends. And me and one of my homegirls have had a date on the calendar for months. But then, like, life be lifing, so it just hadn't happened. So finally, we had it. And her and I got to this point where I was like, how are you? How are things, like, past the typical, like, I'm good or whatever? She's like, I'm kind of in this weird place where I feel like I'm not, like, I'm chilling. Like, I'm not trying to achieve anything right now, and it feels weird. And she was talking to some of her line sisters about it. And then we talked about one of our other friends, one of my Neos and her line sister that just graduated from law school and has always, like, been working towards something. And we were like, talking to her, like, it's going to be a very different world. Like, when you finally achieve the thing that's been, like, the pinnacle of all your dreams and you've just worked so hard your whole life to get there. But it is kind of an interesting space to be in after you achieve big things and where you might feel comfortable and not like you have to fight for something or do that. And anyways, I thought it would be interesting, as Lexi mentioned at the beginning, because people who listen to this are probably working on their dreams or working on themselves in life and could be also in this cycle of achievement.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, first of all, congrats to your friends and to those folks that you mentioned, because, imagine what that says about you if you've achieved your dream or something that you've been thinking about for so long. And for you to achieve it, it's almost like, oh, wow, like, think about how much bigger I could even be thinking. And yet, I guess what you're saying is that should that be a thing? That's the first thing you might think is like, well, what's next? Like, what should I be doing next? What should I aim for next? And is it okay not to? So I think that's an interesting question. Why do you think so many people feel like they should always be working towards the next thing, or like that they should always have something else lined up?
There's a plethora of reasons. I feel like from the time, like, at least that I was little, like, there's always, like, it's always been a goal. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you do this? What about this? What about this? And I'm very purpose-driven and, like, all growth. And so for me, I've always had goals in every area of my life. And so it's just kind of natural. But I think also some of it probably comes from trauma, like survival mode. Like, you are literally having to achieve and constantly, like, work towards things to get out of whatever situation you're in, or to make a better life for yourself, or to, I don't know, just do better. And so I think there's a lot of reasons, like, why people can get caught in an achievement cycle.
Mm-hmm. I think most of us are probably pretty socialized to have a dream. To have goals and to want to work hard. Most Americans, for sure. But one thing I'm thinking about is, some people who may be in, like, air quote, like, high positions or successful spaces. And then, when you talk to them, they seem like maybe laid back. They don't seem as, like, driven. And or sometimes they might, it seems like, oh, you're kind of mediocre. How'd you get this position?
Bro.
But I wonder, like, between people who are in top spaces, what is the difference between somebody who always has a goal in mind, and then, there's some people who probably are in the top spaces who don't always try to shoot for it, and it just kind of happen for them. Mm-hmm. So, like, I wonder, does that mean it's wrong to want to achieve something else or something more, even if you've made a great achievement?
Is it wrong to, like, always want to achieve, like, the next thing?
Yeah, is that like a wrong thing to want to achieve something more or something next?
I don't think so. We talk so much about growth and all the things we're proud of in doing that, but I don't think there's wrong with, like, always wanting to grow and do better and do more. I think what people get caught up in is never really enjoying where they are and equating who they are and their worth in their achievements. And whenever you do that, it doesn't really last that long. It's like always like, once I get there, I'm going to make it. And you get there and it's like, okay, but now I got to do this and do this. And it's like, nah.
Yeah, there's a couple different things because, you hear this a lot. And I I now I feel like I have actually experienced it for real. I'm like, oh, I see what they were talking about. For a long time, you don't. But when people say, like, when you get something you've been wanting to work towards, you'll realize, like, okay, like, you don't actually feel fulfilled. Regardless of what that may be. That doesn't necessarily mean like $1 million. It could be, you know, oh, you got a new car, got an apartment, got a raise, got a job, whatever. But you get there and you kind of realize, like, oh, shoot, that actually doesn't fill a void. So I can imagine for those who have worked so hard to achieve something, you know, there's that, you know, a feeling that of like, this didn't do everything I thought it would. It didn't change me really. And I think that could kind of be a negative cycle if we're always thinking about what's the next big thing because you're chasing a particular feeling. But one thing I like that you said is about, you know, being present in the moment. So also, if we're immediately like, okay, cool, what should I do next? Then you haven't really spent that much time in the present, or you haven't really taken a moment to what I would say is like, just look at where you are in the journey. Like, you don't always have to be, you know, climbing up. Like, if you're hiking, you usually climb to like a peak and then you stop, you pull out your little sandwiches and your nerds and your soda and a little J, whatever you're doing. And like, you know, you might stop for a minute, catch your breath. Hold on, now we might have a little metaphor.
There we go.
You got to stop, you got to catch your breath, you know, and enjoy the view. So you might enjoy the view, even though you know you could keep going up, but like you've done a lot of hard work up to now, take a moment. So really, I think it's just a matter of understanding that part of the journey, we always talk about this, is rest. But like, what else is there, you know, to remember about the journey in general?
I love your emphasis on enjoying the view. So like resting for sure, because how else can you continue to climb? How else can you even be present if you're not resting?
Rejuvenate with them snacks.
You know what I'm saying? Rejuvenate, take care of yourself, but also celebrate. Like, I also think that, especially for high achievers, we don't take enough time in the moment to celebrate where we are. Even with having huge dreams, like, it is still so imperative to celebrate the milestones. You're going to have a whole bunch more little peak celebrations than really big ones. And it's like, what's life if you're never present and never celebrating all of your progress?
And, you know, something that's kind of interesting is that I think now, you know, a lot of people equate their success or feeling successful with the achievements. And lately, I kind of start equating feeling successful during the times that I get to rest. And so, like, it's during my break times or during the times when I'm like, oh, I can binge watch this show. And it's like, okay. Or, you know, I can just go on this trip. Or I can, you know, kind of just, like, not have to think about work or, you know, those types of things. To me, that's when I feel the most successful. And so, also, it's like, why would I want doing something all the time to have to feel like that's what I should do? And yeah, honestly, I do. Like, that's one of the things that therapy for me that has always come up is like, whether it's in relationships and work and whatever, like you've kind of been trained like, okay, I have to do something to deserve this. So you're always doing something. But when I start realizing like, oh, what I really like the most is just like chilling, then that feels like the successful time. So it seems like, remember we did that episode where it was like, not does it make you lazier, but like, are you more, less ambitious? Yeah. So it's kind of like that. Like, I'm actually like, well, this is what I actually like, and understanding that and recognizing that, it allows me to want to enjoy the present moment or those moments when I don't have to feel like I'm like moving really hard towards the next thing. But then you also get rejuvenated because, you know, sometimes you gotta let yourself chill. And then next thing you know, it's like boom, 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 like, you know, hustle it up, work back up and get things done, but you feel more refreshed instead of burnt out. So we've talked about this cycle in so many different ways, but I wonder why it's still so hard for folks to just feel okay, you know, not having the next goal in mind.
Well, I think a lot of that, you had a lot of meat in there, and I had so many thoughts.
I'm sorry, and I just kept talking.
You sure did, but it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It was so
chill
good
for a minute.
No, you're good. You're good. I think because before we stray off, so we're talking about when you get to the peak, it's important to rest, to refuel, to rejuvenate. One important one we haven't talked about is reflect. And I think that that's in your reflection. Like, it's not that you're necessarily less ambitious, it's you're ambitious in other things. And if you never stop to reassess like who you are and if things are in alignment, then you sure will keep working towards shit you don't even really want or enjoy. And so I think that these rest points are a great time for reflection. and to recenter and figure out, like, in this version of me in my life and how I've grown, is this still something that I want? This next thing I thought I wanted? Or am I okay here and want to do something off to the right or to the left? Or do I need to chill here for a couple months?
You think a lot of people who don't really stop between, like, big things, like they always got something they're working on, are doing things, like, maybe even if you think of personal examples, well, like, do you think these are people who do a lot of things they don't actually really want to do?
I think so. I think because we're socialized from the very beginning to, like, at least our generation, right? Like, go to college, get a degree, do this, do that, do that. And most of us, when we graduated, we're like, we're not even going to use our damn degrees, but we already here, so we're going to keep pushing.
Why am I being forced? Like,
bro,
I'm 17.
I know. Why do I need to know what I want to do?
I haven't seen nothing.
I don't know nothing, even though we think we know everything.
I just know what you want to do without experiencing stuff.
Like, that is crazy. And so I think that the majority of life, when they get to the end of it, like, that was one of the big regrets is, you know, not spending enough time doing the things you actually cared about. And it's because we get caught up in this cycle of getting pushed to the next thing that we don't really stop to recenter. Especially
when if you're that person who's like, you're always pushing to the next thing to get to a real final thing. Like the people who are like, so I can retire early, or so I can get this car, or so I can travel. You know, those people who's like, I always got to do this so I can get that, and I'm doing this and doing this. And it's like, low-key, you could have kind of did all that. Like, you know, you didn't have to do the hard work to actually enjoy a trip, or you didn't have to do all that hard work to get a car or whatever along the way. But it's almost like we're pushing our enjoyment instead of just, like, acknowledging, you know, what it is you actually want. And, like, skip all the how you think you have to get it, but, like, what do you actually want?
And I think that that's where most people mess up, is that, like, they're not slowing down, but also they don't know themselves. It takes a lot of work to, like, unpack things and unlearn a lot of the stuff that we talk about on all of these episodes, and really figure out what you want. Like, get honest with yourself. Like, damn, I didn't even really want to be a doctor, but, you know, first generation, that's what my parents told me I had to do to be worthy. And so you're really chasing worth and love and things that, you know, you thought it would be this vehicle to get you there, but most of the times we get in there and then it's not the vehicle to get us what we want.
Without, like, spilling all their business, with the couple of people you spoke to at the beginning, so where did that kind of land? Or, like, did it end up being like, oh, I could just chill, or, yeah, I'm not enjoying the moment, or I didn't celebrate? Like, what was it in those instances?
Well, one is chilling and trying to convince the other one, too, that have, you know, are in their careers, to just kind of actually enjoy it and to allow themselves to sit with themselves and figure out what they want, but to be present in this season of thriving. It's also probably, like, I would say, their first season of thriving as opposed to surviving. So they're not, like, fighting to be okay anymore. They're okay. And it's like, wow, I think also that's a part of it too. Maybe people's nervous systems aren't used to being okay. And so we always have to go make some trouble or make something happen, or because the other shoe feels like it's going to drop because of, you know, how our lives have been. And so they're chilling. The other person, she just, like, she's been celebrating, so shout out to her. I see that all around the world, but just started her career, so I'm going to check in with her in a couple of months and see how she's feeling.
Okay, that's good. So I guess I would say that we would invite you as listeners to see where you are in that journey if you are on your climb, because sometimes you do need to be climbing, right? It's like, okay, now I done sat at this spot long enough, and I'm ready for something else. And so are you in that area of climbing? Are you in that area of you know, being right near the peak? Are you in the area of relaxing, celebrating, rejuvenating, whatever? And think about that for yourselves. Now, Carlie, my next question is, now what would you say the balance is between, you know, people saying like, okay, we need to work hard, because we do. And then that idea where it's like, yeah, but, you know, don't fall into the trap of having to feel good in order to get things done. Like, what's the balance of that? Like, you know, well, I want to feel good. I want to chill. So why not, you know, I just kind of chill. But also,
look, if there was a magic formula, I think one thing, so I'm working on this in my own life, because I was always a person like, you got to get shit done. Don't matter how you feel. Suck it up. Get stuff done. Blah, blah, blah.
And you did it, or you just used it to make you feel bad?
No, I mean, I would actually do the things.
So I like run through that in my head, but I just used it to make me feel bad, because I don't do it. Like, I've always gone to sleep, but I'd be like, dang, I got to do this and this and this. Well, and that's where I stop.
Right. And so I think it's, like, one, don't feel bad or ashamed about things, but setting up like just like self-discipline is loving yourself and is taking care of yourself in those moments when that don't feel good. So like now I have like a no holds barred, like 5 times a week I'm working out. I don't care how I feel. I can do a yoga thing if that's what my body wants to do that day, but I'm going to work out because that's what makes me feel good. And so setting up, I would say, boundaries for yourself that are in alignment with your goals and not like crossing those, just like you don't want other people to cross your boundaries.
But how do we know when we're at that spot where it's like, I can stop here and rest or celebrate? How do you know when you're at one of those spots? Because, you know, sometimes we say, like, oh, celebrate the small things, too, right? What does that look like?
I don't know how, I don't know how much good advice this is, but I kind of celebrate a little bit every day. This whole little cycle we talked about kind of, like, is almost daily for me.
So that's a good point. We didn't make it like, okay, you got to go hard for a couple weeks, then stop. It might be like, how can you incorporate this into a day? I wonder if that's the best formula.
Yeah, and I think so. And, you know, to be fair, there will be, like, months or weeks or seasons where you do got to go hard every day. Yeah, you just got to show up, baby.
Or you be in a season of, like,
or
I ain't
season ain't doing shit. And that's okay,
Not
too.
you pointed at me.
No. Projecting. No, I'm agreeing. But I think it would be better if we worked on having more balanced days because then it doesn't build up either way. And so making sure you're well rested, making sure that you're rejuvenating and having snacks, making sure you take a moment to enjoy the view and do something for yourself and celebrate, if that's like a little cup of coffee or if that's whatever it looks like for celebration. I don't want to be like champagne because there's always other things than alcohol and caffeine to celebrate with. Or like, you know, doing a dance class at the end of the week if that's what you really love and you worked hard all week or whatever's going on. But trying to have that cycle every single day.
Yeah, I think that's the answer, Carlie. And I'm glad we got to this because I wasn't really thinking about that up until we did. But, you know, when I think about my day, like, yes, I get top things done in the day. I have plenty of time that I'm at least watching an episode of something. You know, you try to eat at least one of your good meals, like be intentional. Sometimes, like, you know, you try to have some energy where you're outside or maybe getting a workout or whatever. So I think that probably does make the most sense. It's like, just like when you think about like biology, it's like, you know, you have the cell or like the atoms that make up the cells and make up the this, the this, the this. It's like, well, what if, you know, each day can be kind of like a microcosm of like what you want your life to be looking like, and then spend it in that way. So if you spent your days how you know, think you want your life to be spent, then it's like you are.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people wait to do that, like wait to rest, wait to celebrate, wait to go on vacation because they think they have to do a thing before they can do that. But it's kind of counterintuitive because it doesn't happen until you do it. So you just kind of got to start living how you want your life to look, and then it'll look like that.
All right. So to that, I would say for those who think about the next big thing all the time, assess, like, is that serving you? If you're in a time when, like, you know, sometimes it is like I'm young, I'm motivated, like, and I feel good to like hustle it up. For me, I don't anymore. And then for some people, if you notice like, dang, I'm actually very stressed about it, then like maybe be okay being aware of that and seeing how you can balance your days a little bit more into like how you want to feel. So I like that. I'm really glad we got to that, Carlie, to think about it every single day and like waking up and how will I have my time of doing all these pieces of the journey. I think that's very good advice.
Oh. Yay.
On Carlie's couch.
Gang. So, or Carlie's chairs today. But hit us up at Carlie's Couch on all the platforms. Let us know where you're at in the journey. And, you know, ask us questions or tell us what you walked away from the episode. Share this with a friend who might be celebrating something or not celebrating and working on the next big thing. And also, man, we got a review. We're going to read it next time at the beginning because it should be. But if you have not left us a review lately, please do so we can read them and keep pushing up in the rankings.
Yeah, thank you for listening and for supporting, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.